Yo, what's up guys? Yeah, pokeaim here with another video. I guess this is a news video on the Dugtrio or Arena Trap suspect test. So we now have the results of the Arena Trap suspect test after 2 weeks of the test itself. Arena Trap is now banned from Sword and Shield OU with an 84% vote for ban. So anything over 60% is the pro ban majority, and there's 154 people that could vote, but because there were 93 bans, it automatically hit that. So like up until that point. So Arena Trap has been banned from Sword and Shield OU and down. I just want to let you guys know what this affects, but Trapinch in basically RU, though Trapinch wasn't, I don't think it was as used in RU as it was before. Since Trapinch used to trap Gigalith in RU, so that way Sun could do it work, and then Gigalith ended up moving up to UU by usage. This also affects, like, it doesn't affect Little Cup, right? It doesn't affect Little Cup, so you can still use Diglett in Little Cup, you can still use Trapinch in Little Cup, but it affects OU, UU, RU, NU. Is there a PU right now? Do we have PU? I feel like we do have PU. Yes, I played PU a couple times, right? And PU. So all of that is banned from those tiers. I'm not personally a big fan of it affecting the lower tiers. I feel like the lower tiers should kind of decide for themselves, but I understand them wanting to do it just because it makes things easier to follow like one way. But what does this mean for the tier itself, and did I agree with the Arena Trap ban? So I kind of gave my thoughts before, but I do think that I did vote ban because I got Suspect as Rex. I actually used well, I'll show you the team real quick, but I actually used Aurora Veil for basically everything that I didn't do on YouTube. I kind of just like kept playing on a whim, and then I thought I wasn't gonna hit it because of the Sing Belly Drum Clefable, but I did. But yeah, I used Aurora Veil offense, and it was pretty easy to get my Suspect test Rex. Let me see, they're right here. So I used Aurora Veil offense with like Ninetales, Excadrill, Zeraora, Hawlucha, Gyarados, and Bisharp. This was actually made by Gene, but yeah, I do agree with the ban for Arena Trap. I feel like I don't know how do I explain it. Like it was definitely uncompetitive in a sense. Like there was so many 50-50s that Dugtrio would promote, right? Dugtrio just does that automatically. Like if I have Terrakion, I have Cinderace, I have Zeraora, I have Specs Kyurem, Darmanitan, which can kill all 5 of my opponent's teams, but they have a Sash Dugtrio type of thing. So it puts me in a position where, okay, if I click Flare Materia, I gain this kill, but then Dugtrio comes in after, and then if I don't kill this Mon right here, I can't win, but if Dugtrio kills me, I can't win type of thing going on. So I did vote ban on the Arena Trap. I don't think my vote mattered at all. It would have been banned anyway based on all the other votes. But I do feel like this is a positive thing for the metagaming. Before I get into that, I just want to say that if you guys want to pick up my Drop a Draco merch, you can. Link is down below. It's available for 15% off with code Draco. Pick up a shirt, feel free to if you would like. But yeah, so I do feel like this is a little bit better for the metagame, and because I think that it will promote a little bit more creativity and allow creativity in a sense. And before you say, oh well, Dugtrio kept a lot of the threats in check, I do agree with that as well. And Toxapex as well. I do agree with that. But it also had a lot of cool Pokemon that could work in this metagame. It really did keep them at bay, right? And the immediate responses are the ones I always say, but Dracozolt and Toxtricity are two that come to mind. But I want to just go through the OU tier list and see or I'll give you my thoughts on Pokemon that I think that will become better, or at least more viable. Not that they aren't viable anyway, but will become better now that Dugtrio is banned. The first one on this list is definitely Bisharp. I think Bisharp is absolutely incredible. Now, Dugtrio wasn't necessarily a counter to Bisharp. It was a check, right? Like, there was a Focus Sash Dugtrio, which could end up checking Bisharp, but obviously Bandit just dies to Sucker Punch flat out. So that does open up Bisharp a lot, and Bisharp is great. This is really good versus Fat in particular because it can smack Corviknight, it can smack Seismitoad, it can smack Pex, it could smack Clefable, which it gets free setup on too. So this is really good in dealing with Fat. Dugtrio kind of was the glue for that to be able to deal with Bisharp. Of course, Corviknight can run Body Press, but then it has to forego things like Brave Bird or Iron Head depending on the set. If it's body press, it's usually body press, U-turn, roost, defog. So, which is actually easy to set up on with certain things. I think Cinderace gets a lot better too, both in a band and also just in doing its job. I do think that band Cinderace is actually really good. Only like Toxapex and other bulky waters really holding it bound, but Power Ball is just so strong if you can actually connect with it. But the utility of course, the heavy duty boots one, and this is right before Libero is getting released. They were saying with the DLC, I believe that's what was confirmed. So sometime in June, we'll be getting Libero, Cinderace, and not being able to be checked by Dugtrio, and also still having Zen Headbutt with your Libero, which is basically Protean. I think it's going to be really cool for Cinderace going forward. Again, Darmanitan as a breaker, this is really, really nice, especially because, I know a lot of people don't like current Sword and Shield OU because of they feel like you have to run certain things or you get swept, and I do agree. For example, if you saw the BL Knights episode where we didn't have a Seismitoad and then we fought like 5 Dracovish in a row, and every time we fought Dracovish, it was basically a GG for us, right? It was over. But I do think that at least it opens up other offensive mons from there too. I love that it makes Darmanitan better, especially on Sun. Darmanitan Venusaur looks very, very strong. Excadrill as an offensive breaker too gets better too, like the Swords Dance Rapid Spin one. You don't have to always go for Rapid Spin to ensure you're faster than Dugtrio, then flinch with Iron Head, that way it can't knock you out with reversal as well. I think that offensive variants of Jirachi can come through as well, like Calm Mind variants, Calm Mind Weakness Policy. I think it looks super cool because your way of revenge killing this now is not going to be with Earthquaking from Dugtrio, but Shadow Balling from Dragapult, which you can live after a Calm Mind. You pop your Weakness Policy, you get some cool things. It got Aura Sphere this generation. Obviously, it has Thunderbolt to deal with Corviknight, so I really, really like that. Kyurem. Kyurem is probably one of the Pokemon that benefits the most alongside Pokemon like Terrakion and Zeraora. But Specs Kyurem is maybe like a top 5, top 10 mon right now, right? Because it got Freeze Dry, it is incredibly hard to switch into, and Ice Beam is just so strong. Like Max Spadef Corviknight takes around 44 to 46, 48% from Timid Specs Kyurem from Ice Beam. So yes, it can pressure stall it because it only has 8 Ice Beams. But if it gets frozen or if rocks are up, Corviknight can be 2-hit KO'd by Ice Beam. So Kyurem gets a lot better. In fact, people are saying that Kyurem is the best mon in the metagame right now. And if Dugtrio being banned makes Kyurem so powerful, well, we just suspect test Kyurem then, right? That's another thing that I think people are afraid of. They're like, oh man, Dugtrio holds Pokemon in check. We can't suspect test it. But if something is broken after, we just suspect test that. It's not a big deal. I saw the argument, and I think it was from a post as well, that like Lanners couldn't be suspect tested because it's the glue of the metagame. I think that's such a bad argument. And I don't know who posted that. I really don't. And it was a quote. It was somebody posting a quote of somebody. So I don't know who actually said that in the thread itself. Maybe it was someone from the OE Council. Maybe it was anything like that. But I think that's such a bad argument. We suspect text something if it is inherently unhealthy or just broken, uncompetitive. And that's what Arena Trap always is. And that's why Arena Trap has been banned in Gens 6 and 7. I think it also recently got banned in Gen 5 as well. And Dugtrio has been doing the same thing. It just got a power increase, right? So like we always suspect test it, and it gets banned. If it's broken, we ban it. I don't think Lanners falls into the same thing just because it has an insane amount of usage. I'm not seeing team preview and I'm looking at Lanners and like, oh damn, I lost. I mean, maybe I will because that's how I am. That's just my personality. I like to make it more interesting. Oh man, I lost, and then maybe when I win, it looks more cool. But in general, like I also feel like if Pokemon are played well to the degree that I think they can be played, that's why I say at team preview I've lost this. But I've never said that with Lanners, right? I've never said that with Lanners. But with Dugtrio, it's different. It's like, oh man, I got to play my Terrakion better. Speaking of another breaker, before we get into Terrakion, which is right here, we actually have another mon. Of course, Clefable as well gets better too. I kind of skipped over that, but Banded Dugtrio can 2-hit KO Clefable. The Clefable does run Wish Protect and Teleport, so it can actually get away from Dugtrio. And I think that Banded Dugtrio does require some type of skill because you can't like switch it in. For example, Sash Dugtrio, you can switch it in on Kyurem and it'll come down Sash and they'll knock it out with reversal, right? Banded Dugtrio, you can't do that. You got to make some doubles. You got to do some work. FLCL had some really good games, or Fully Cully rather, had some really good games in SPL where, let's see if I can show you actually. He had some really good games in SPL where he played Banded Dugtrio phenomenally. Where is it? Is it versus EO? No, that's Gen 6. What the hell am I talking about? I want to find this because I feel like it's a Here it is versus Super. So you can see, no, it's not versus Super. Damn, I want to find this. Where is it? There is a replay. I think if I go through my DMs of Blunder, I'll find it. But I mean, you could also look at his replay versus me, where he used Sash Dugtrio and every turn became a 50-50. I'll find it later. My bad, guys. I'll if anything, can someone link it in this, in the comment section? But Obstagoon is another mon that gets a lot better. I think Obstagoon is a great breaker. Bulk of Facade is very hard. It's a very good balance breaker, especially because Clefable is running a little bit more special defensive unless they're Calm Mind variants, because Teleport is just, they're so good at doing that. Though they are mixed defensive, though, to be fair. But Obstagoon is a phenomenal breaker. It can also switcheroo its Flame Orb, and it doesn't have to worry about Dugtrio. Like switching in, basically you switch in Dugtrio and Obstagoon, you go down to your Sash, and then you knock it out reversal. So it gets even better as a breaker. And then, of course, Sylveon is support. But I think Terrakion is a big one. I believe that Terrakion is such a great Pokemon because Swords Dance Terrakion has a good speed tier, right? There's only so many Pokemon that are faster than Terrakion in this metagame. The big ones that come to mind, Dragapult and Zeraora, and I guess Cinderace too, and that's about it. Like, that's it if you look at the metagame, right? If you look at the OU metagame, that's about it. Nobody's using a Selgor. So Swords Dance, Life Orb, Terrakion, Stone Edge, Close Combat, and Earthquake hits the entire tier. We've actually even seen some examples of Stomping Tantrum Terrakion, where you close combat or you miss Stone Edge and then you Stomping Tantrum with something like Aegis Slash, and it's doubled in power. But Terrakion, I think, was a great Pokemon. I also think Banded Terrakion is amazing too, but it really had to fear Dugtrio coming in and just revenge killing it. This opens up its breaking abilities a lot, and it means that Fat has to watch out, because Terrakion is looking as good as it did in Black and White 1. And in Black and White 1, Choice Band Terrakion was an absolute monster. It was the Pokemon that you could give someone who had 5 minutes of competitive, like who just understood competitive on a basic level and just started battling. You could give it to them and they can nab a couple wins and a couple kills versus even a highly competitive player. That's how good Terrakion was back then in Black and White 1. So I think that this is like the rise of Terrakion in a sense. And it's going to be really, really, really cool to see how Terrak does. Torkoal, obviously Sun gets better. I already mentioned Darmanitan and Torkoal not being trapped. Toxapex does get better. Yes, it does get better. But I also feel like a lot of the answers to Toxapex come up as well. So, like, Pex is not bad, right? It's not bad in this metagame. I don't think Pex can ever be bad. But it's not crazy good either. And I feel like a lot of people don't use it. And even when they do, like, I mean, you just have to stall it out with Pressure, Corviknight, and Clefable, which is probably why a lot of people don't use it, right? But Pex gets better. Versions of Choice Tyranitar get better too. You don't see a lot of Choice Tyranitar. Actually, Choice Band is like basically the only one you see, right? But it gets a lot better as a breaker too. Crunch and Stone Edge, fishing for them defense drops, especially because Clef is running like special defensive 2 for Kyurem. So like you get a one Fizz Def drop, excuse me. Defense drop. Why did I say Fizz Def? Like I said, it's a Def drop. You get one defense drop, and Tyranitar gets the KO. So I love that breakers yeah, I guess Tyranitar Wall Breaker. Like Choice Band Tyranitar is great, and then of course Zeraora gets better too. Now Dugtrio was always only a check to Zeraora too. If Zeraora bulked up and Dugtrio switched in and it was Focus Sash, it could Earthquake. Then you knock off their Focus Sash, you're faster, and you still have the Earthquake and whatnot, but. Scarf Dugtrio could also revenge. I think Scarf was his worst set. I think his best sets were Sash and Ban, obviously. But Zeraora gets a lot better too. And again, it might also be borderline busted. We'll see about that. We'll definitely see about that. Like about Zeraora going forward. And if it is busted, just like Kyurem, we'll suspect test it. A few of the BL Knights that get better, Dracozolt, of course. And this is so cool because now you don't have to worry about, you click Bolt Beak and Dugtrio comes in and traps you. No. Not anymore. Breakers like Swords Dance Crawdon still get checked by, who used to get checked by Sash Dugtrio reversal. Same thing with Diggersby. So like all these hard hitters get better. All these hard hitters get better, which means you better watch out. You better watch out. And then if we go down to the UU tier, a few of the mons that I think have potential right now. I think Center Scorch is a really cool I think an offensive Center Scorch deals like Corviknight, Seismitoad, Clefable type of builds because of like Power Whip and stuff like that. So I think that's a cool little option. There's another one down here that I liked. Incineroar has a lot of viability in OU, in my opinion, with the heavy duty boots and parting shot, and now it's even more. There's one more down here. Oh, Toxtricity. That's the big one, right? Toxtricity. Doesn't have to worry about spamming Boom Burst or Overdrive and then getting trapped by Dugtrio. So that is definitely a breaker too, because Saizato does not appreciate that specs Boom Burst. So I'm excited for the rise of these like unique breakers and the shift that it will bring in OU. And I really do hope that it brings a shift. And if it doesn't, you know, like I said, if something is actually broken after, we test that too. But I'm really excited to see how these mons can break. We used Caparaja recently, right? And I think Dugtrio was able to revenge us. But you know, if it's Power Whip and it's Heat Crash and it's just good coverage as a Pokemon, an ability to come in on Clefable, it's just so cool. So I'm very much excited to see how these Pokemon. Oh, my Ice Cream Cone too. You're not. I can't wait. Dugtrio couldn't come in on Ice Cream Cone because Blizzard into Hail would knock it out and anything, but it could revenge it at about 70% if it was Choice Band. And this mon is a good breaker, man, with Taunt. I'm so excited. I'm seriously excited for what brings the metagame. I think that it will be a lot more fun, which, I mean, obviously isn't a reason for banning or voting ban, but I'm just excited to see how it turns out. So please let me know your thoughts down below on the Dugtrio suspect test results. And yeah, feel free to pick up the merch. Like I said, it is available until April 3rd only. It's available until it's Drop a Drago X Puma. Available until April 3rd. The link is down below. You can also find it on my website if you don't want to click that top link. My website also has all my teams that I've been using the past month, which you can use and get from there. So check it out. I'll see y'all next time. Goodbye, my friends.